Hello and welcome. I can see that participant number climbing. We're going to give it just a little bit of time to make sure everyone is in the Zoom webinar, and then we'll get started. Right, so the participant number seems like we have a bulk of our audience in, and we're going to get started with our webinar today. My name is Summer Rothrock. I serve as the parent and family liaison here at the University of Pittsburgh. I use she, her pronouns, and I am excited to welcome you to one of our virtual offerings for our parents and families and support systems of our incoming new Pitt students. They're not incoming anymore. They're on campus. They're here. And we're really excited about it. So we wanted to take this hour to share with you some resources, hear from our Dean of Students, as well as a Q&A with a panel of colleagues from around the university. I'm going to get us right into our agenda for the day. We're going to do the welcome. That's what we're doing now. So wherever you're joining us virtually, we're glad you're here. We are recording this session. So if at any point you need to pop out or you want to watch it again, we will put that up on the Student Affairs YouTube channel in just a few days. We're going to provide you with an overview of Student Affairs. You'll get to meet our Dean of Students, Dr. Carla Panzella, review our philosophy of Student Affairs, look ahead at some key dates for the calendar, and then have a question and answer session with a panel of our experts and colleagues from around the university to answer what might be some of your most critical questions at this time. So let's jump right in. Our Division of Student Affairs, with around 190 professional staff members, is divided into 5 different teams that are all very, very precisely created and curated to be able to support your students and our students. And those are our Student Experience team, our Student Community and Involvement team, our Student Wellness team, our Student Engagement and Professional Development team, and our central office, which manages all of our business operations and finances for the Division of Student Affairs. So those 4 top teams, as you see together, you'll notice that they all start with student for a reason. All of those teams are focused in student affairs on how we can provide them support, resources, programming, engagement opportunities on campus so that your student feels that they belong, they know that they belong, they're able to thrive, they're able to find things that are within their interests and also expand their interests. And so our Student Experience team, we have our student organizations, we've got our student unions and ways to get involved and experience student spaces all over campus. Our Student Community and Involvement team, our Student Community and Inclusion team has our Office of Inclusion and Belonging. We have the Office of Pitt Serves, so our students have civic and volunteer opportunities. Our Student Wellness team, and you will get to hear from someone from that Student Wellness team today in our Q&A, has our Student Health Services, our Counseling Center, and our Student Pharmacy, as well as Campus Recreation. Student Engagement and Professional Development team, leadership opportunities, Career Center, really just to name a few of the ways that we're going to share that your student can get involved and things that they can take advantage of while they're here at the University of Pittsburgh. Now, I'm really excited that you'll get to meet virtually, and maybe you got to meet her in person if you were with us during the earlier half of Welcome Week. Our Dean of Students, Dr. Carla Panzella, she serves as the Dean of Students and Associate Vice Provost for Student Affairs. Carla has a deep commitment to holistic student well-being that guides the Division of Student Affairs as we support students in achieving their personal and academic goals. She believes that it is vitally important for public universities to advance and promote inclusive excellence and to be student-ready institutions that anticipate and meet our student needs. Welcome, Dr. Panzella.
Thank you. Let me just adjust my screens as things switch around. Well, welcome parents and families. It's so wonderful to know that you were there in the background. I will tell you that virtual webinars are always challenging because I love to see your faces and I love to talk to folks kind of one-on-one and see the reaction. So I'm going to do my best. I'll share a little bit with you about the work that I do, and we'll get this program started. So Summer, thanks for the introduction. I am so excited to be here and to welcome you to campus virtually. For some of you, this may be the first time that you're sending a student off to college. And for some of you, you may live far from Pittsburgh, which is why you're probably joining us virtually today rather than on campus or in person. Well, regardless, no matter what your situation is, we understand that this is an experience with a lot of mixed emotions, right? On one hand, you're excited for your student to learn and grow and meet new people and explore new interests. And yet it can also be a time of some stress and uncertainty, maybe feelings of sadness or grief, or even relief in some ways. So I want to talk a bit about what my role is at Pitt and what my philosophy of student development is. First, as Summer mentioned, my title is Associate Vice Provost and Dean of Students. The Associate Vice Provost role means that I serve as a liaison to the academic side of the university. My role is to work with the Provost's Student Success Team to assess key performance indicators of whether and how students are succeeding at Pitt. So that may be data like our persistence and retention rates, or how many of our students stay at Pitt after their first year and then through graduation. And if they don't stay at Pitt, why not? How can we be better support for them while they're here and helping them thrive? In evaluating student success, we are also looking at questions like, are we serving all of our students? Do they see any disparities in outcomes between student populations? And if so, how can we correct that? So that is the academic piece of my role at Pitt. But most of my day-to-day work is as the Dean of Students, your student's Dean of Students. As Dean, my role is to lead the Division of Student Affairs, which is the division dedicated to everything else that is not academic program for the most part. So like student health, University Counseling Center, residence life, student leadership and organizations, the Office of Conduct, the Career Center, the Office of Inclusion and Belonging, and offices that provide support, student programming, all outside the classroom. We think about all of these offices and departments supporting the students' needs in an integrated and holistic manner, right? The students should be having one whole positive experience. A lot of my work is also to listen directly to students so that I can understand this current generation of students and their needs. Their needs in this generation are different than those of mine and those that came before them. And one thing we find is that each class of students can be very different, and it's important that I listen to them. So this class incoming is still part of that demographic who had their high school years disrupted by the pandemic, right? As I understand their needs better, such as increasing resiliency and helping them feel less isolated, then I could be an advocate for students among senior leadership at the university and to help present their voices, concerns, suggestions for improvement. But my role as dean is also to challenge students. Our philosophy of student development is that our students are emerging adults and they need to be challenged at various levels. What's appropriate to ask of a junior or a senior is not necessarily where a first-year student is when they enter college. A lot of our role in student affairs is scaffolding requirements and challenges so that first-year student takes the next step into adulthood and personal responsibility. And a graduating senior feels prepared to take their next step into their career or continued graduate and professional education or military or volunteer service. There's a lot of growing that happens during these next couple of years. As a parent, I would like to say that your role now moves from being a coach to being more of a cheerleader. Whereas you might have done a lot more for your student in the past, now your role becomes letting them go more, encouraging them that they are capable of making independent decisions, finding the appropriate resources for what they need, and being resilient in the face of inevitable setbacks and challenges. Having said that, you are always still your student's safety net, and we're always here to support your student when they need it. If you are ever concerned about an issue or a need, that your student has, then you can always reach out to my office for assistance by either calling or emailing. Our office contact information is on the slide, and I know that Summer will also send a follow-up newsletter with all of this information. Even if our office is not the right place to resolve an issue, we can direct you to the right place. And students are always welcome to come talk with me directly during my monthly office hours or request a meeting time with me. I'm here to be their dean of students and their advocate. I also want to mention that the university does have a one-stop reporting system for any concern, and that is the Pitt Concern Connection. You can report anything at any time by phone, email, or text. You can also report anonymously. That office then triages any concerns to the responsible person or office on campus, including the Pitt Police or General Counsel or Title IX, wherever it should be going. You're going to hear a lot more about resources and also have time for Q&A with a panel of folks after I depart this portion of the program. But before I leave you, I want to help you think a little bit about that transition from coach to cheerleader. I want to enable the chat if possible and ask you a few questions. I want us to practice, essentially. Your students are practicing a lot, learning a lot of new skills. Let's folks, families and parents, let's practice ourselves. Are we game for that? Let's see if the chat is working. If you're up for that, let's go. Okay, great. I'm not fantastic at reading chat and talking, so I will do my very, very best to do that. Okay. Oh, I love the thumbs up. Thank you for that, folks. Thanks so much. Okay. So remember, the goal of this practice, this exercise, is for you to think about how you are going to move into the cheerleading realm, right? Moving from coached, which is directive, telling them what to do, maybe even doing it for them, moving into the cheerleader, supporting, helping, and that safety net that I talked about. Okay, so how many of you, well, think about if your student has messaged you, texted you about their roommate. Mom, I don't think this is going to work out. Get me out of here. What might you be saying as a response to this? And you do not have to out yourself if you've already received this text message. In fact, you may want to not out yourself here, but go ahead and put in the chat, what's the best way to respond to that? Oh, wow, it's going fast. Hold on, sorry. Let's see. You can talk to your RA for advice. Love that. What have you tried to do? This is a normal feeling, normalizing the feelings. Love that. Oh, you folks are like on top of it. Talk to your roommate. Take a deep breath, right? Maybe this is all overwhelming and this is the one thing that they're going to try to control. Give guidance on how to best work through it. Keep trying and invite them to things, right? How about include your roommate to get to know them better? Did you use the available resources? I might not need to help this group. This is a fantastic group. Maybe practice some tolerance if the issues are about difference. Folks have had some experiences that are tough. Give it time. I love that one. Give it time. So you all are really on a very good path here about how to provide. What I heard was support, take a breath, give it time, hang in there for a moment. I've heard resources, directing them. I've heard activities and ways to connect related to the roommates. Fantastic. And some sage advice, right? You don't have to be best friends with the roommate. That's really important. And it's about learning a new skill to kind of live together with another person. Okay, let's move to another text message quickly. You did wonderfully. You all get gold stars. Congratulations. You are going to be the best Pitt cheerleaders we might have. Don't tell the Pitt cheerleaders I said that. Okay, so let's say they've been here a couple of days and they say, and they text you and they say, I'm not sure I'm able to find anything I like to eat here. How do you respond to that? I'm a cheer mom. I won't tell them. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. Okay, so try encouragement, try harder, you'll find something you will like. Go explore some other options. new experiences. Maybe we need to also think about what might really be going on here. How many of you can imagine that this is about a change of scenery, about discomfort? How many go to Chick-fil-A? Like, go to Chick-fil-A. That's one of my favorites that stood out. So I think students are going to a new environment that they're not used to, and food is comfort for many people, right? And so trying a whole new dining experience with all dining options can be very challenging. Now, some folks have some restrictions, some folks have some preferences, some people have all kinds of food particular components, and that's okay. We have thought about that. We have folks who could help orient people to this, and you can talk to folks at the panel about dining, and as well as the dining folks on campus, or your students can be talking to them. So I love the challenge. I've seen quite a few challenge yourself, try something new. Some folks are going to still bring leftovers, which, a home cooked meal is never a bad thing. Ask the CAF if they can make something specific. Absolutely talk with them about the things that you'd like to see. I believe that they are very open to those conversations and they're interested. There's several chefs, but our head chef is very interested in learning and understanding different needs and desires. And so I would encourage you to have those connections with the dining staff. I'm keep reading again, hard to do, but so somebody's advising to maybe try to, kind of start with something, start with one thing that you might know and then expand, right? If you know that you like that one thing, go back to it, get your comfort level and move on. You all have some wonderful examples in here. I'd encourage you to read it. In some ways, they are going to need to adjust, right? And it is an adjustment. And so I think some of that advice from the earlier text, which is give it some time, you will find your way. It's also intimidating. They used to come to perhaps one table at home or one space at home, and now they get to explore a vast amount of dining opportunities. So until they are able to see and appreciate and maybe become comfortable, it might be challenging. Pizza is a favorite for our first year students, no doubt about it. Okay, let's think about next week. They're going to start classes, right? And they are going to experience a variety of faculty. They're going to travel to class in different ways than they have in the past, right? So a big adjustment on the academic side. Their first couple of classes, they're going to talk about the syllabus for that course. They're going to talk about expectations, and they're going to really kind of get big overviews for each of the courses. And so you get the text of, I'm pretty sure I have to drop all of my classes. I think I hate them all. None of them are going to really work out for me. What's your thoughts? Remember, you're the cheerleader. What's your thoughts, and how are you going to respond to those text messages if you were to get them? I don't know if my chat like stopped or just slowed down. You certainly are an amusing group. I appreciate humor, and humor can get us through some really tough times. So reaching out to the advisor, I think absolutely, if you have questions about your classes, each student has an advisor, and that's what they're there for, to discuss that. Take a deep breath, because probably most of what that student is feeling is overwhelmed, right? Take one step at a time. Spend a few more classes, understand what each class might require of you. Really good advice. Maybe talk about some previous successes. Remember when you started this class in high school, you were really concerned and overwhelmed, but you did it, right? So remind them of their incredible skills and academic ability, and giving them that cheerleading moment is going to be really important. That's a fantastic one. Go to office hours, build a relationship with professors. Wonderful advice, right? Faculty love when students go to office hours. And sometimes they're virtual, making them really convenient. Sometimes they're in the office, which is okay too, but reaching out and building that relationship so that when you have a question, you can connect with your faculty member. Really great work. Well, I'm just going to take a quick look to see if there are any others. You all have really wonderful advice and are really on track to be the best cheerleaders for your Pitt students. So I just want to say how much I appreciate you. I thank you for your time this morning. I don't want to keep you any longer from the panel portion where you can ask direct questions of our wonderful team who are here to help you transition and help your student transition to Pitt. And I will turn it over to Summer right now, and we can close down the chat and we will open up the Q&A for the once the panel session starts. Thanks so much, folks. Really appreciate you. Have a great day.
Dr. Kendall, so much. Right before we get into the panel, let's look ahead. Welcome Week is continuing. The programming continues for your students through the weekend. They have their required academic programs today. Those have probably been happening. I'm not exactly sure what time. Oh, it's into the noontime hour, what time theirs might have been, but they have those programs, lots of social programs, the student activities fair on Sunday. So an opportunity to really see hundreds of our student organizations and ways to get involved up at the Peterson Event Center. Two other dates I'd like you to be aware of as we're looking ahead. Add drop period is September 8th. So September 8th is the last day to add or drop a class without financial repercussions or potentially academic repercussions. So you definitely want to note that if they want to make change, if your student wants to make changes to their class schedule, their class load, they need to do that by September 8th before there are consequences or changes to their information. Please hold the date for Family Weekend, November 3rd through the 5th. Registration will open August 31st. And we will send that out via the family newsletters. And it will also be on our website if you have any questions about that. Now we're going to get right into our panel. The Q&A should be open. You'll be able to type your questions right into the Q&A. Our panel is going to be made up of colleagues from housing, dining, residence life, student health services, and student involvement in unions. So you can think about what questions you may have around those topics. We'll put them in the Q&A. Some of the questions we will be able to answer here live. We probably won't be able to get to all of the questions that you may have. Those we may type back a response to you. If you have additional questions from this webinar or at any point in your student's journey, please reach out to the parents@pitt.edu email address. So now I'll ask our panelists to join us via turning on their cameras. Let's stop sharing so we can see our panelists. I'm going to ask that our panelists please introduce themselves. I will give you the order in just 1 second and tell our audience your name and what you can answer questions about. We'll go in the order of Nick, Kathleen, Dr. Weddick, Tom, and Amanda.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Pagano. I am the Director of Marketing for Pitt Eats. So any dining related questions I can help you out with.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathleen Kyle. I serve as the Director of Housing in Panther Central. We are almost through arrival, but if you have any lingering arrival questions, I'll do my best there. And then any questions around housing. I also work alongside our other auxiliary services. So mailing, transportation, parking, bikes. Sometimes that's been a topic. So I'll do my best with those as well.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lissa Weddick. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the medical director of the Student Health Services, so I can answer questions about our clinic, our pharmacy, our Office of Health Education, and I can pinch hit some questions about our counseling center.
Hi, I'm Tom Mizuraka. I'm Associate Director for Programs and Involvement in Student Unions. And I can answer questions about extracurriculars, whether it's student organizations or programs that are social type programs that are being done for students.
Good afternoon, everyone from Pittsburgh. My name is Amanda Reese. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as the director of the Office of Residence Life. Happy to answer questions today about your students' residential experience and the services my staff provides. That's including the resident assistants that live on the floors with your students, and our resident directors who oversee the buildings.
Well, so our first question is for Nick about dining. Are dining items at the eatery and the perch different?
Okay. Yeah, so the two dining halls do serve different menus daily. So the menus rotate daily just to make sure that there are, fresh offerings each day and that, students are eating the same thing every day. That being said, there are some commonalities between the two of them. Like you're guaranteed when you go into either dining hall, there's always going to be like a pizza option, a build your own salad bar option, fresh fruits and vegetables, breakfast. So like eggs, your typical like breakfast fare. So all of those things are commonly served throughout the dining halls, but they will have a different rotating menu as far as entirely what's being served that day. And you can view all of the menus for not just the dining halls, but all locations online at dineoncampus.com/Pitt, which is our just overarching website for all things dining on campus.
Thank you so much. Our next question is for Dr. Weddick. It's about having a medical power of attorney. Are there any forms which need to be filled out to have our medical power of attorney on file?
Hi. Okay, thanks for that question. That's one that we get very frequently. So really the way that it works, because the health center is, we're a medical facility, so we abide by HIPAA, which means that we don't have paperwork that you can fill out in advance. If there is a situation where your student is coming in to see us and they ask, hey, can you call my mom to talk with her about this or that? That is always something that we can do, and that's super straightforward. And I know sometimes people get very concerned about, well, what will happen if my child is unable to communicate? And a couple things. First of all, they would not be with us. That would be an emergency situation. And I will also say that in my close to 20 years here, anytime that I'm transporting somebody to the emergency room, I always say, let's loop in a parent. And I have never had anybody deny me that request. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Nick, I'm coming back to you. We have a number of questions in the Q&A about meal swipes versus the meal swap. And can you explain those?
Sure. So I'll just kind of go down the line and break down the meal plan because I know that there's a lot to it. So starting with swipes. So swiping into the dining hall, that's where the unlimited aspect comes in. So at the eatery and the perch, students can use their card to swipe in as many times as they want. If they want to just grab a snack, if they want to come back after class and get a full meal. Since they don't have kitchens in their units, that's essentially, you want to look at the dining halls as their kitchen that they can go throughout the day for as many times as they'd like. I will say there is in place an hour buffer between swipes that was initiated just to reduce theft. A number of students were like kind of just passing their cards around, swiping all their friends in. So that's why there's an hour buffer for swipes into the dining hall. So then in addition to swipes, there's what's called the meal swap. Students get one of those a day to use at any of our retail locations that we have on campus. And a meal swap is basically just an allowance of up to $12 to order whatever they want off of the menu. And there's two ways that they can do that. They can kind of build their own meal a la carte, just looking at the menu, or we have preset combo meals that ensure at every location that the student will be able to purchase an entree, side, and drink. So two different experiences there. I think I saw in the one chat, or the question had said whether you go over or under, how that works. So if you land under $12, it doesn't get credited back. The meal swaps just reset each day. So if you don't use your meal swap for that day, it's not going to stack on top and be available on the next one. You just get one per day. If you happen to go over the $12, then that difference is pulled from the dining dollar balance that the student has, which is, kind of the third pillar of the meal membership. Dining dollars are meant to be used on those retail locations if they wanted to, buy an extra meal at the restaurants or visit our various markets to buy sodas, snacks, things like of that nature.
Thank you, Nick. Kathleen, I'm coming to you. We have a number of questions about mailing. How do we address Amazon packages? How do our students get mail? And then a very specific question that I picked because my birthday is tomorrow. So I love this birthday question. But there's a question, their student has a birthday next week. So happy early birthday to them. They want to know how they can send flowers to their residence hall. Is that regular mailing address or another way?
Because there's a variety of locations on campus, and some of our residence halls have mail rooms in the building, and some of our places on campus you go to a central mail room. So I don't know if someone's able to drop into the Q&A or into the chat, but the mailing services website, which you can get to off of our parking and transportation website or through Panther Central, that's going to show you even a visual about how to address an envelope, right? So that's a really great resource there. So mailing services website, which you can get a link from on pts.pitt.edu or from pc.pitt.edu. So take a look there, and that should answer a lot of your questions about how to address an envelope. We do have a lot of package lockers. Folks talk about Amazon or packages. And so we have installed package lockers throughout campus where space has allowed us to, which is a really great option for students. If they do receive their Amazon package, they will get information, an email from the university saying your package is in, the Tower B mail room in the blue locker, and they'll say which locker, and you go and you scan your little QR code and the locker opens and there's your package. So we are using locker services for things that fit. If it's oversized, they would go to the window when they're open. We sell stamps. They can mail things out if they need to. The birthday, again, happy birthday. I'm a big birthday fan too. So yes, if you want to give something to your student, we would notify them that they did have, flowers available in the mailroom. We also, folks talk about like Uber Eats and things like that. And, we do, they have to stay outside of the booth, but they would contact the student and say, I'm here with your delivery. The student comes down, receives their meal or whatever might be their flower delivery. So you can do that one of two ways. You can have them contact the student directly, who will come down and receive the package in person from the courier at the welcome attendant booth, or they can go through our mail room. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, thank you. Our next question is for Amanda and probably Kathleen as well, potentially. We have a question about if you cannot reach your student, if a parent cannot reach their student who lives in the residence halls by cell phone, how could they go about contacting them or asking for someone to be able to locate them for something urgent?
Sure, happy to chat about this. So we have a process for when you are concerned about your students' well-being. So what I would name is that when we involve these processes, they often do involve Pitt Police as well. So let me explain that if you're concerned about your students' well-being, you're concerned for their safety, you're concerned about their mental health, we will perform what is called a welfare check. A welfare check is when members of my staff, along with law enforcement, will go check on the well-being and safety of the student. That is when they have made a concerning call to you where you might be concerned that they might need medical or mental health attention from professional staff members. That again is dispatched through our team, but also involves law enforcement and other first responders. So that is truly when you are concerned about their safety. We take that very seriously and involve first responders in that as well to make sure your students are getting the most urgent and appropriate interventions as possible. If you are here to have lunch with your student and you're calling your student and they're just not answering their phone, we can perform what we call a wellness check, which is just, hey, mom, dad, family members trying to get a hold of you. Either your cell phone's dead or you are hard asleep. and a resident assistant can go knock on a door. We do not enter a student's room for any reason unless there is a concern for immediate physical safety. So if we knock on a door, unfortunately, your student doesn't answer, we will not be able to go wake them up per se. But for those instances where you are concerned that your student is maybe not somewhere you thought they would be, or they're not with you and you anticipated, you know, when you come to campus to either eat with them in our dining halls or maybe take them off campus for dinner, and they are not reaching out or reaching back, our resident assistants can knock on doors. But again, if you are concerned about your students' safety and well-being, we do take that very seriously. And we are certainly happy to partner with you and get the appropriate first responders to your student to make sure that they are safe on campus.
You have a couple of questions about roommates. Specifically, if they don't currently have a roommate, sort of two questions around that. When might they anticipate being assigned a roommate? And will they be notified if they are assigned a roommate? I think this is probably for Kathleen or Amanda.
I'll go first. And then Amanda, if you have anything, please chime in. We are fairly full, and by fairly I mean like 99% full in terms of assignments in our residence halls. We do have some students, potentially international students, that are delayed in getting to us. We have some folks that maybe have decided last moment to go to another university or not to attend. We will be working with our residence life partners to identify those folks, and we do have a wait list for, especially for some male students still looking for rooms on campus. And so we will be filling those within the next week to 10 days as best we can. And I will also say that if your student doesn't get a roommate by chance in the fall semester, they most likely would have one moving in January when we would have another influx of spring admits as well. So we are kind of working through that, working through those vacancies. It is still arrival. And so know that students are still arriving throughout this weekend, you know, for a variety of reasons, but we will be working with those students. And yes, if there's a roommate change or someone is coming later in the semester, if there's a roommate swap, they will be receiving emails to notify them that somebody would be moving in.
I would add to that, Kathleen, thanks for naming the processes there. I would add to that, if your student is concerned because they don't have a roommate, certainly their resident assistant will be reaching out to get to know them and get them connected to the floor. But I would also encourage your student to reach back to their resident assistant to not only help them get connected, but one of the ways that our resident assistants can build community is that if there are other students in similar sets of circumstance, the RA can also work to connect students who may be interested in living together. So if we've got two students who are both currently without roommates, and we can certainly work to get folks connected. If folks are wanting a roommate, knowing someone that is also seeking a roommate, the resident assistants are great resources to not only get your student connected to other folks if they don't happen to have a roommate right now, or to get them connected to people who are also looking for roommates who may be in similar situations.
Thank you. Next question for Nick. Nick, I'm actually going to attempt to give you two questions in a row because we have a ton of dining questions in the Q&A, but I'm happy to repeat. How can parents or families, someone refill dining dollars and Panther funds? Can they add more to their student's account? And how can a student check their balance? And then if a student, this is the second question, is we have lots of things about expanding the variety of food offered. If a student has an idea for something they'd like to see in our dining locations, how can they make that recommendation?
Okay, so starting with the dining dollar balance. So that portal will be in their My Pitt account. You would go to housing and dining, and then you can also, I think, just Google dining dollars Pitt, and that's almost like a shortcut to get you to that section. I did see in the chat some parents asking about if they are able to monitor that. And so that is something that would need to be arranged between you and your child, since they are, you know, emerging adults. They have the control over that platform. So if you would prefer to be able to monitor that, then you would need to be granted access to that by them. But yeah, so just follow, you know, Google dining dollars at Pitt, and that's the best way to get to the section to reload dining dollars. And then before I answer the other question, I have been peeping through. So I saw another one that said with dining dollars, if it is part of the meal plan. And so, yes, dining dollars are part of the meal plan. So whenever you were signing up, you may have noticed it would be like unlimited plus and then a number. So then that number next to the plus is associated with the number of dining dollars that come with the plan. So I always recommend just, wherever you landed on the dining dollar, just have, your student kind of just monitor their purchasing habits. If they think they need to add dining dollars or take dining dollars away, they can always do that for the following semester. Additionally, meal plan changes are the same as class changes, so you can do that up until the add drop date. And then, could you remind me the second question?
Absolutely. How can students make recommendations or things they'd like to be able to see in the dining options on campus?
Okay, so we are working on a program where students can submit recommendations, but I would love to, plug that we're, with the eatery renovation going on right now, we have lots of new dining concepts that are coming online in the following months. So I did see in the chat somebody recommending, an Asian food concept that is coming sometime in the mid-fall, as well as Table 33, which is going to be our Latin American concept, which will open sometime towards the end of September, beginning of October.
Thank you. This next question is for Tom. The question is, with over 600 clubs and activities, how do you suggest a student look for something they're interested in this weekend at the fair? Tom, you've seen a lot of student activities fairs. How do they navigate it?
The best thing for someone to do at the activities fair is to just take the time and walk around 2 tables that they think might interest them. There will be students there behind those tables to explain their club or organizations and give them candy or a t-shirt or some sort of something they can take with them. I know the Pitt Program Council will take membership forms right then and there and give them a t-shirt should they choose to sign up for Pitt Program Council. And but definitely take your time, walk around and see everything. If you see a group that might interest you, stop and talk to them. If there's a crowd there, just wait a few minutes. They'll get you in, because folks want you to be a part of their organization. So they will give you all the information you need for that.
Thank you, Tom. Amanda, there's a number of questions in the chat about what the RAs can and can't do. What is the RA role? And can parents reach out directly to the RA if they needed to ask a question or get a hold of their student? Can you give us an overview of that RA role, expectations, and communication?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, your student's resident assistant is there to help build community and get your student connected to their roommate, their floor mate, and to the folks that are sharing their residential community with them. They're also equally charged with creating a safe and welcoming community. So resident assistants are on duty in the evenings and 24 hours on the weekends. They are working very closely with our on-call processes. So you would not have access to your student's resident assistant's contact information. Your student communicates with their resident assistant through our Discord platform. So if you have students who may have grown up in gaming culture or use Discord as a social media platform, we use Discord as an opportunity for our residential students to connect with their RA, with their floor, and with their building through a number of different channels in each building. So Discord is the best way for your student to ask questions of their community and of their RA. Email is certainly a great way too, but I will note that when I was a student, email was the only way I could connect with folks besides AOL Instant Messenger, which will date me just a bit. But our students are on Discord now. So if they want to connect with folks with not urgent questions, Discord is the best place for your student to get in touch with their resident assistant. In a case of urgency or emergency, during those times when we have resident assistants on duty, those resident assistants may not be your student's resident assistants. They are resident assistants in the building. Panther Central is the way to get in touch with those, with our on-call staff. So you can certainly, if you have, and I will let Kathleen speak a little bit about Panther Central, but certainly Panther Central is your one-stop shop to get information that you need. And one of the things you can get from Panther Central is to get someone to you. Panther Central can dispatch our resident assistants and our resident directors who are on call, so that there is always someone who can be in touch with your student if there's urgency or emergency. But again, if they're looking to just have a general question for the resident assistant, wants to get to know the resident assistant, the messaging system is Discord for your students. We'll also tell you that your resident assistants are also going to knock on doors, stop by and say hello. I would encourage your students to do the same for our resident assistants, to get to know them in places and spaces as well. As they're coming and going from the building, stopping in the elevator, saying hi as well. But again, general questions, urge your students to get onto that Discord platform, to get into messaging with the people they live with. If there's something urgent or emergent, I certainly would recommend contacting Panther Central. Panther Central is also a resource for you if you have something urgent or emergent, along with reaching out to Pitt Police, is a way to get someone to your student if there's an emergency.
Thank you so much. Kathleen, I'm going to come to you with the next question about buses home for the holidays. But first, I wanted to answer two quick questions. One that we've seen a few times in the Q&A is, when does this call end? The webinar will end at 1 p.m. Reminder that it is recorded, and we will get that up onto our YouTube channel. And then the other question, now I've already lost it. I'm so sorry. Do dining dollars carry over? Nick, I'm going to attempt to answer it real fast, that dining dollars carry over from the fall semester to the spring semester, but then they expire at the end of the spring semester. Panther funds continue to carry on throughout their time here at Pitt. That's Nick. Okay, fantastic. I tried to make you proud, Nick. And then when is ad drop was the other quick question before we do buses home for the holiday. Ad drop is September 8th.
All right. I would direct folks over again to pts.pitt.edu. That's parking transportation services. And there is an icon on that website about buses home. There is a buses home program that the university does work with some partners with charter buses. And so they have various drop-offs throughout Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Erie. So there's quite a few options there. They do fill up fairly quickly. They typically go on sale around the 1st of October for the Thanksgiving, winter break holidays. And you can purchase a ticket. It's all Pitt students on a charter bus. They leave from campus. They drop off, say, at King of Prussia Mall. You would then pick up your student there and then drop them back off at King of Prussia Mall at a certain time to get back on that charter bus to come back to campus. So check it out. Again, the link is on pts.pitt.edu for information around buses home, as well as if you have specific questions, contact information for our mobility services staff is there as well.
Thank you, Amanda and Kathleen. This next question is for you. This parent or family member is thinking ahead. Residence halls close on April 28th. Can students stay in the halls for summer classes?
Yes, we will offer summer housing. All that information, students will receive emails right around spring break, a little bit before spring break, about information if they need summer housing, how they would go ahead and apply for summer housing, and depending on the number of students that we have and construction projects, those types of things, we identify typically one residence hall on campus where summer housing is held, and we do house our students there. So more information coming. Take a look at the email. Again, we also have it published on the Panther Central website, usually around the 1st of March.
Thank you, Nick and Kathleen. Next one for you. They know that Panther funds can be used for on-campus laundry. Where else can students use the Panther funds?
Panther funds is a declining balance that students can use. People do associate it first and foremost with laundry. They do associate it that all of our dining locations do also take Panther funds, but so does the university bookstore, local grocery store in Shadyside called the Giant Eagle Market District also takes it, as well as a variety of restaurants kind of on the Forbes and Fifth Avenue corridor. So you can use Panther funds as a kind of a declining balance way to help your student budget. Again, it's not needed for anything other than laundry, but it is an option for you in terms of managing money with your student, and some variety things there. Again, I keep directing folks to websites, but I just think there's just a plethora of information there. So I find it useful. I'm a person that likes to read the things 3 or 4 times, and that helps me answer my own questions. But if you do go on the Panther Central website and click on Panther Card, there's a section on Panther Funds. So pc.pitt.edu. Hopefully more details there. And also, we're not live in person, so we can't do follow-ups. So that's hard for me as well too. But Panther Funds is definitely an option for you if you're looking for a way to help your students with declining balance, budgeting, and ways to spend money on campus.
Thank you. Nick, question about dining. This question is about dining accommodations for a student specifically diagnosed with celiac disease. But then can you also expand on how students with allergies, religious, any kind of dietary needs, how they can meet those?
Absolutely. So this will be a short answer just because I am not qualified, that person, but we have a registered full-time dietitian on staff. I know that she's been working with a plethora of students already and has had great success in helping them navigate the meal plans. So dietitian spelled with a T, because I know it can be spelled with a C as well. Dietitian at pitt.edu is how you can get in touch with Lindsay Wilson, who is our registered dietitian. She corresponds with emails. She can do one-on-one meetings. She can meet your student in the dining locations and physically show them around the space. So that is definitely your best resource for helping your student navigate the dining plan, not just for celiac, but for any special dietary needs or preferences. And there was a follow-up question to that.
I don't think so.
Okay, sorry.
No, I think you answered it. I have a 2-part question, essentially for Kathleen, trying to get lots of questions in the Q&A in limited time. So I'm trying to get through these. Do students leave their rooms or the residence halls during winter break? And then a follow-up question. This parent has provided dining, they've already purchased dining dollars. Do they need to add Panther funds for laundry?
All right, I'm ready. Yes, winter break is the only time that we do close. The university halls are closed during winter break. We do provide winter break housing accommodations, though, for international students, other folks that might need it. Again, that information will come out right after fall break, typically, and an email will go out to students if anybody needs winter break accommodations. All of the instructions of how to apply for that and get those accommodations would be included there. So that's the piece there, but most of our students, 99% will leave us and we will close down for winter break. In terms of Panther funds, yes, Panther funds are the way that we pay for laundry on campus currently. And so that is the one reason that you would need to load Panther funds. Your student can do that. You can do that on the Panther Central website. They can do that in person here at Panther Central. There's also a kiosk in the Towers lobby that you can physically do that on site as well.
Next question for Dr. Weddick. Can students use student health services and pay out-of-pocket fees with cash? Can you explain how billing works for student health services?
Yes, so we bill insurance and we participate with most major insurance companies. If a student is uninsured, underinsured, has an insurance that we don't accept, we have ways of working with that. Just a quick caveat, we don't accept cash, it would be credit cards. But our goal is that we don't turn any students away based on either not having insurance. We will be able to accommodate them.
Thank you. Kathleen, I'm coming back to you. There's questions in the chat, but I've also heard in our parent email, and I know we talked about this as colleagues a little bit. We know there's been some fire alarms in specifically towers. Can you talk a little bit about that and when you anticipate those to resolve?
Yes, they have been working on our fire system, and then also from the construction, the eatery, we've had a couple of fire alarms as well. So I got word this morning that they hope that they have found the resolution of the soft trip, and so hopefully we are finished. Again, it is important for all of our students though to treat anytime they hear a fire alarm. It's very important for them to treat that seriously, and we are doing our best to make sure that those are not false alarms. But it is important for students, if they do hear the alarm on their floor, that they do evacuate, and we will do our best to monitor and to fix any issues we have on our end as well. So thank you for your patience with that.
Thank you. Nick, I'm coming to you with another dining question, but first I'd like to answer a question that's been in the chat, in the Q&A a bit, about FERPA and the release form. All FERPA information can be found at registrar.pitt.edu, and the student needs to submit that FERPA release form. That is not submitted by parents or families. Our students need to submit that FERPA release form. If that's something that as a student that they would like to do, note that because of FERPA, only our students have access to their academic records. So there is no place to see their schedule or their grades or their academic progress for anyone other than the student. Now, Nick, our dining question about, are you allowed to take out food from the dining halls? And can you talk a little bit about what are some of the quick grab and go options on campus?
Sure. So as far as taking food from the dining halls, yes, you are able to. So we have a program on campus called Choose to Reuse, where students, whenever they enter the dining halls, they can ask their cashier for a reusable container. So their first container that they receive is included in the meal plan at no extra charge. They can walk around the dining hall, get their food. If they're taking food to go, they do have to exit the dining hall. They are not permitted to eat out of the container and then refill it again, just mainly for, sanitary reasons. And then additionally, the grab and go options. So we have 3 markets on campus. We have the Forbes Street Market, which is more of a urban grocery store, which is larger. It has, actual produce and ingredients to cook meals with. But we also have grab and go options there. So different sandwiches, salads, subs, all sorts of things like that, as well as kosher and halal approved grab and go items there. And then all of those offerings also exist in our other 2 markets, one of them being in Sutherland Hall, which is the floor below the Perch Dining Hall. And then additionally, our new Amazon Just Walk Out Market, which is located across from the eatery. We have some grab and go options in there as well.
Thank you. I know we're quickly coming up on 1 o'clock, but Kathleen, a bit of a follow-up question for you about the halls being closed during the holidays and some breaks. Can you talk a little bit about housing or storage options for our international students during those breaks?
You wouldn't need storage during winter break, so you can leave as is, right? So finish your final exams. We close for winter break. We've got some maintenance staff around if there are any issues, but nobody would be entering your rooms, anything like that. So you can leave all your belongings for winter break. Again, if you need accommodations, we would identify where we would have folks stay, right? And that kind of depends on the number of students, the type of accommodations. We work with our partners in dining, all of those types of things to identify the best location for students on campus. So it is possible we would have folks move for winter break. But again, all of that information is going to be sent out via an email to students to say, hey, do you need information about staying with us over winter break? If so, here's the application, here's the link. They need to fill out that application, and then we would house them accordingly. And that again will come out typically around the 1st of October for information regarding the winter break.
Thank you so much. We are at the end time for our webinar. There were fantastic and robust questions in the Q&A. I apologize that we couldn't get to all of them, but as a reminder, you can send any follow-up questions to parents, PARENTS, make sure you have the S so it's plural, parents@pitt.edu. We will also publish this recorded session to our Student Affairs YouTube channel. It will take a number of days for us to do that as we're still working hard on Welcome Week programming and the start of the semester. And we will send that out in one of our first family newsletters. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our panelists. We hope that you learned great information to support your student, and we're so happy to have you as part of the Pitt family.